Now yellow timber. Now when the yellow timber nane down to get more timber the chat here, because in that the young limited was so at their body, and she sent it down and they didn't in my more yellow the chat here.
Good evening. Tonight we're going to start with the seventh of the seven limbs. Last week we looked at the sixth, the requesting to remain, and now we come to the seventh, verse 42, the dedication of merits.
Nyamlenche deba yu zada lama di ane nyangale midawachi nganzu samba nashin chi nganzu san nganzu kowa le zhe sanji ko ma to yibado lama nyangale madiwachi ne shuo chi yesen ya ndushine so da brodan.
In the preceding verse, requesting to remain, verse 41, there the abbreviated meaning is that we were making a heartfelt, sincere request to our Lama to remain in this life until samsara itself has been emptied of suffering beings, and not just remain, but to remain and teaching the Dharma, guiding suffering sentient beings to attain their own state of enlightenment. So that, in brief, is the meaning of the preceding verse.
Samlo lo jang che gom che nganzu samlo di gyuwa da jo gom gyab che na sangyo ko ma tu ma do shen nganzu sangyo ko ma tu tu ye me bar ba dine za da nganzu ge lo gyuen di ge ma se che yun din yu lo di ge pa jang jo gom ba la da de le ya lob din ji gen la ma di da nganzu gi me ba do ko go wa da la ma til di ya Chiki samlon masona ya ji tobal masona ji ya nyamnen chene du su ya kwon ya kwon du phebay ne ya ledan ko nyamne je ya sab chugorwa sab chugorwa sab to za del ya samel lam yi chikin de lamatia an du chene chikin jingan zo ya lobchen ne chikin ji gugu ye ban za den 가서는 산지요 고방 토발에 양문주의 검잡 냠는 제 냠용도 냠용 산조 거와 되네 냠용 산조 발라 한 미니가 저 롭진 지간디야 녀마 호랑디네 검제 냠용요 냠용 때네 나줄야 롭진 지고 거래 대자 되네기 계위신인데 계침모 시원자다 산예마도 이바도 안에 라마기 슈고도 슈르지 사제 안 슈원양 줄야 안 직체 송로지 롭진 지로지 세네 슈고로 받아
We perhaps quite readily express the words, I want to attain Buddhahood, and therefore we see in this verse, we request our Lama to remain until all beings have attained Buddhahood. But what is Buddhahood, and how is it achieved? Well, in brief, to achieve Buddhahood, in a nutshell, we have to transform our mind, transform our way of thinking. That is the meaning. So when you talk about Buddhist practice or training, it really means transforming our way of thinking. So in order to be able to radically transform our long-held habitual ways of seeing the world, viewing the world, and interacting with it, we need a supremely skilled guide. This is essential. We need a teacher who doesn't just have mere theoretical knowledge, but has enacted that knowledge, integrated that knowledge, brought it to life within himself, and thereby transformed his own mind. Such a teacher can guide us with care and with skill in accordance with our own unique spiritual disposition. And it's for this reason that to have a spiritual mentor is essential, of great importance. And so here, in the sixth of the seven limbs, we are requesting our teacher to remain in this world until all beings have attained their own enlightenment, until samsara ends.
Denegi nyamne jaya korwa, 안딜이야 지상 산지고 화마도 봐도 개와 가지 len 하베네 디바도 아는 좀 냠는 지역이 그냥 고갑고고로 와냐 지상 디네 자다 라마 슈부이나야 소소라랑에 대한 자매들 최시에게 선남다 디 매바나 한 라마 슈네 양아서 최시에 거브라고 말봐 매바자디 디메나 Lama Chöpa ne panto chagyo mara. Sisa Lama Chöpa chö sonya Chöpa dila susu ngui ne ya Lama ya tsedi nashin maungpa ne na Lama ya deba da ishe da Lama dizi ne chö shiya gu dunpa, dunyeri dunpa, an di chi koko roba da.
Transforming our deep-seated habitual ways of thinking, this takes time and great effort. It's a period of training that transcends from lifetimes. So therefore it's crucial that from life to life we continue to have all the required all the required causes so as to have the opportunity to continue our progression of spiritual development. And now that in this life we have achieved all the required conditions to have a life that can be called truly precious, it's essential that we create the causes to ensure that in our very next life and each subsequent life, we continue to have this remarkable opportunity of having met a Mahayana spiritual friend, have recognized them as such and are under their care, and have this opportunity to train. And the way to create the causes to ensure that we have such opportunities in life after life is to make the most of the opportunity we have now. Part of that is making heartfelt requests, but that's only a part. We need to make the most of this opportunity we have now to receive teachings and to apply them, transform our way of thinking.
Ngarang da sosorang da lama ni rali gorwa jara ngarang choda lama ni ga loma da lama ni ga rali gorwa lama yena lomi ge cheshi ge de me che shema shena ane lama shena loma ya ge da yo marwa ya ji lama loma le cheshi ge de yo ba ne chesunga lama me na nga zo ya ji do yo marwa me ba za ji lama de nga zo chesunga sunga lama de yo ba che Lama yobatila susu ine gidine lama dizene chöjüye dümbada möbada dönye zönjüçinen mutune anu şüyeki anu çıkkorwa diniga sobayne dini godne yargi ruborwa nyamle yar rubore dini tarpa tamji gibi koma toyla tanyar ruborwa.
Here, what is being expressed in this sixth hymn, in the 41st verse, is we're making a heartfelt request to our spiritual mentor that we want to rely on him and make the most of this opportunity, life after life. And this, thinking about it from the perspective of dependency, of interdependency, we can see that as a student, we require a spiritual mentor. Similarly, a spiritual mentor who wants to guide sentient beings requires students. There is this relationship of dependency between a teacher and a student. So from our side, we need to ensure that we're creating the causes so that our teacher can guide us, can influence us, that we are open and receptive. And in this way, we will make spiritual progress in this life and continuously life to life.
Dine inza tangana zuge kewa sa shagyo di maungpa na sangye sosorang sangye go fang mato ge bardo lama ane jikinga chwe tinga lama ta kirang lama kirang ngi che su sunga che lama di zane kirang zane chwe shuya goga praya ki ane dine gyurgyuwa sho sena ngowa kya di kya goga da nga je ngowa di kari juni ngowa di kari dunu kya goga labna 다 Lama Digi Gidina Sanjo Goba Mato Gobado Lama Chökyi Gyaltsen Jenga Lama Dizen Chöshu Nyamlen Je Sanjo Goba Tobi Gyurkyu Sho as in Malam Jagorwada Dana. Moja Dirida.
Through these varying activities that have been expressed thus far, vast stores of virtue have been accumulated. Now we come to dedicate that. And what do we dedicate it to? So that from life to lifetime, we continue to be cared by supreme spiritual mentors, that they continue to teach us perfectly in accordance with our needs and dispositions, and that we apply ourselves to integrating those teachings, and thereby transforming our mind, and doing so until we achieve our own enlightenment.
Kajin Sumden Jezun Lama Yi, Serab Gundo Jeme, and Jie Zinji, Sonjo Dojo, Changwa Topchung says the.
That brings us to the 42nd verse, the bottom of page 7. I dedicate the mass of white virtues thus created, so that we may be inseparably cared for in all our lives by venerable gurus, kind in the three ways, and so attain the unified state of Vajradhara.
And the other Jumbi number gave you so said, the Jumba said the Jinyalang Jugeda, Chigilama, Ya Toshin, Sa Tapche, Delia, Yana Dunu, Konyakasore, Jike, Ya Cha Sawana Chibupua, and Diva Shaba Kewala Chiso Iran Jeba, and the Jig, Dusine, Ma, Yana Judia Rosarwa, the Nigi Yana Jukjene, and so Sasiku, Sunam Disi or Namka gave you so said the Nigi. Daddy, the Jumbi, Namkar give you sauce, the Jumbi, Namkar give you sauce, the Lama Chojin sat up in Lamalia, Sojilia, Nanzuki, Chasawana, Chua Puala Sopa, and Jingelia, Denigi Yala, Juk, Yangalimedeva, Chasawa, Chua Pua, and then Diva Shaba Kewala, Chisoina, Jeba, Chujokolo, Soa Deva, Yangalimedeva, Soa Deva, said Jukro, Denigi Chishibik, Gavasashi, Gavati, yes, or that.
The English and the Tibetan here is quite mixed. So the first words in the Tibetan is the end of our first line, thus created. So what has been created? It's referring to all the preceding activities in the preceding 41 verses that have led to the accumulation of a vast store of merit, from going to refuge, generating bodhicitta, reflecting on emptiness, visualizing the merit fields, and then engaging in the preceding 6 limbs, making offerings, rejoicing, requests, and so forth. So that, thus created, refers to the vast store of merit that has been created in the preceding 41 verses.
And the Mase Delia and the Kawa give you talk, see the dinner, Tola, that did the Nigi Sashi Kawa Mase and the Kawa Namadiwania, Chiki Kawa Sashi Kawa. The Mohobana in Kawa Sayagi, that's also that Mohobana gives you to be a Kawa Sayagi, Kim Sapa Kesa, Kawa, Kawangamagi, Nyamagi Kawa, that Lama Chöpa Nyamlen Tiniki, Majinielia Sashi Kawata, Mohobana Sapa Kawa. Dada Andusine gave us Sashi gave you so Solatini, or gave it just Chasansi or give you Solan, gave us Chasandis or that.
Whilst it doesn't say explicitly, we can also understand that this is referring not just to the virtue created in the time now that I'm engaging in this practice, but in fact we can incorporate in our dedication all the virtue we've accrued in this life, as well as in our previous lives, and the virtue that we are yet to accumulate. So the vast store of merit that, since we've accumulated since beginningless time, and will still accumulate, all that we can include in our dedication.
And in the Nigi Kawachasan, Gariguro Sholabeda, Kajin Sumdengi Lama, and Sarab Kundu, Jis Zimbiki, Jis Zimbi Guru Shua Sigurada. Kajin Sumden Jizun Lama Yi, Sarab Kundo Jame Jizin Shin Sid, Chisnada Kajin Sumden Ye Lama, and it said Delia Duschene, Lama J, Lama Sung, the Cobras, Pay Rahuras, Dinashi, and Gewachima, Chima, Sarab Kudu Gidi Neda, San Yoko Mato Yebadu, and Gidina Lama Kyung, so Che Lama Dizene, Sung Tue, Jizan Lama Kyu Jesu Zinja, then 자와메바 기디네 라마 주지스네 라미 구디네 지게 취취야다 냠내지 고고프라와 라와 쇼세지.
The first line emphasizes the virtue that has been created, is being created, will be created. And then in the Tibetan, the second and third line then lays out to what that is being dedicated. So for us, it's most of the rest of the verse. So that we may be inseparably cared for in all our lives by venerable gurus, kind in the three ways. So this is to what this vast store of virtue is being dedicated. It's being dedicated that from life to lifetime, throughout this life and in all future lifetimes, until enlightenment itself is achieved, may we be inseparable and cared for our lamas, our spiritual mentors. May we never be separated from them for a moment. And implied in this is what has been expressed in the preceding verses, that our reason to be with them is so that we recognize them for who they are, they teach us the unmistaken Dharma, and we not only take those opportunities to receive teachings, but we apply ourselves to integrating them within our very being. Integrating them in the sense that our way of thinking becomes transformed. So this is what we are dedicating to.
Cedelia Chökyi Gowa Yatajarane, and Jawachima Diwa, and Chökyi Gowa Maraja, and Diposa Lagajan Chesuna, and Antic Diva Mambochin, that young Yatabatam Kimiko Watovalea, Yamlenji, Parchicheva, Tarin Chagua, Chisankidi, Ne, that Jawameba, Gidina, Gidi, Ne, Lama Chesunje, Chökyi Gowa Rawa Shose, Gurkiwa Shose. Lama di Jesu Zung Tuyege, Lama Deneji Raege, Lame Raege, and Yurkiwa Shos at Chichua. Tizanda Lama Denegi, Jeje, Lama Dizin, Chush, Negedina, Yamlin Jeje, me Doga Ludogi, Yamlendi, Yakone, Gondo Peje, and the Sunju Dorje Chawan Govan, Tobar Shaw said. Sunju Dorje Chawan, Topshiro said, Sunju Govan, and the Sunju Go Dorje Changu, Yurdo Tubege, and the Yurkiwa Shaws and the Yan.
In making this request to be inseparably cared for in all our lives, we have the understanding that as long as we have the teacher-student relationship, we have all opportunities there. We have the whole path laid out for us. Our spiritual development is definite as long as we apply ourselves to the teachings and integrate them within ourselves. And then we can have confidence that we will progress lifetime to lifetime. However, if being in their presence, being in a form where we can receive teachings, if that is severed, if that is lost, then we are in grave danger in that, in all likelihood, we will accumulate vast stores of non-virtue and may well fall to the lower realms. So with that understanding, we make heartfelt requests never to be separated in all our lives from our Venerable Lamas. And we make this request until we achieve the final goal, which is then expressed at the end of the fourth line, until the unified state of Vajradhara, until we have achieved that.
Lama Chöpa Nyamlen Chen Delia and Chick Duschine Gewasa, Gewangame Chick Gewangame Gewasa, Moba Sar, Sabur Givi Gewachasanda, that the Karanguajas and Susana Kiwi Shinye, any Serapundo, Lamigi Chesuya, like Kiwi Shinye, that Chayagi, Lama Tirayagi, Molam Jada. Lama Dizane and the Church, Yamlin Chusa, Yamlin Jene, Londogi, Dembo, Yamlin Yakoni, Gondo Page, and Sanjoko, Changi, Toyagi, Gurmo, Mugo, Radamo, Adire, that don't know.
In brief, then, in this verse of dedication, We're calling to mind the vast store of merit we've already accumulated in this practice, as well as in throughout this life and previous lives, and the merit we are still to accumulate. All this virtue, this vast store of virtue, we dedicate so that we remain inseparable throughout this and all future lives from our spiritual mentor, and not so that we can just be in their presence or be under their care, but so that we can receive teachings and be explicitly guided in our integration of those teachings within our very being. And we do so that our spiritual development can continue throughout this and all future lives until we achieve the state of Buddhahood.
Kyawa nga ma sabi, kyawa tata sabi, maungbi kyawa sabi, sabra jiwi kyawa chasa nguwa jaya soso rangi dundala nguwa jaya duwaas. Jisa soso rangi kiwi shinyan yabu chaya dang, soso rangi kiwi shinyan chaya nyamlin jeba la tene sanjo kopang tobar shoos, gyurgyuwa shoos nguwa jaya duwaas. Jisa di tepa chime chwe chagimidwa rangi dundala charu, rangdun charu duwa, jisa yengi dundu nguwa jaya minu sanpeke dat
Hearing this explanation, it's quite possible that a doubt may arise thinking, this is very clearly the Lama Chöpa is a practice of the Mahayana Dharma. But this dedication is being expressed. We see the very first word here is I. We're dedicating all this virtue to my own benefit. May I meet my Lama throughout my lives. May I never be separated from my Lama until I achieve enlightenment. Is this really the approach that's taken in the Mahayana Dharma?
Nga semjan tamjege donda semjan tanju khoi dungwa le se hudu chesa semjan tanju khoi dungwa le gyobje ya sangje tarba tamji khebe go bala ko hudu ndi ko bala dangbo soso rangi nyudup chembo sangje go ma to ba inada ngi khonzole phando gya chembo che tu sa mare chesa ngi khonzole phando gya chembo che bala ngarang dangbo sangje go ma to hudu wa din zang sosu ge yende sue je ma lam ma dong yende nyubo mena khonzo beje che rokwa che tu sa mare din zang dangbo di ngi 소소나 상지 고바 토부도와 대인장아 이제 사람들 찾아봐도 아니 기디네 냠렌제 라마 제수제 냠렌제 더 겨와도 샤고바 토부도 제가 디 톱선은 이 람사 안 건설이야 안 지그 취에 된제 고도 탈바 탐지기 고발이야 안 같이 뭐 지투 그래 사지 다 소소 샘젠 탐지기 소소 들어차는 고바 토야기 미유 가르전에 가르전에 심전 동화세 심전 탐지 코에 동화를 줘야 상이슬로 거야 된다 이세. 그래서 니 된다래 네 뭐가 제비요 봐서 심전 탐지기 된다 잘 거야 돼.
Right at the outset of the practice, we generated the motivation of bodhicitta, and that, together with emptiness, was the understanding of emptiness. It needs to be present with us as we engage in this practice. So now when we come into the 42nd verse, that should ideally still be present with us, so that when we dedicate, we're doing so with the bodhicitta motivation. And that is being expressed that in the way that I need to accumulate vast stores of merit to aid my spiritual progress so that I can become a Buddha in order to benefit others. I've come to understand just how lost beings are in samsara, burdened by the pain and the misery of being a samsaric being, not understanding that freedom is possible, freedom is attainable. I need to help them, guide them to attain a state of liberation. But right now I'm limited. Right now I have too little merit to be able to become a Buddha. Therefore, I'm engaging in this practice of Lama Chöpa so as to accumulate vast stores of merit in order to become a Buddha, so that I can become the most skilled of guides. And I then can lead vast numbers of beings to enlightenment. So that is the bodhicitta motivation, which ideally needs to be present as we engage in this practice. And with that understanding, we make this dedication.
Adine zada simje tamje yu dondalya an san yoko ba to gu du skya do change de an nyuwa se de skising az Lama Chöpa na nyuwa ye gyo to gu du se je da dine za an de simje tamje yu don wa zanda ngwa se da dine ge ngwa je bi gi gare pando yungure se na da nga zo gyawa jike mohon ba ne ge we shin ye ngo so je da Denigi and the Jekishin in the church, so church, Dumba Mebakia, Lamens in the church, go ready, that Denigi Dingo and Javetingo Digi, the Shukinji Mohomba Dion to Gore.
If you think or look back at the 5th verse within the generation of bodhicitta, where there is this expression, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I shall quickly in this very life attain the state of primordial Guru Yidam Buddha. So there is that expression that we have generated for rapid spiritual development so that we can be of great benefit to vast numbers of beings. And in order for this to come about, our rapid spiritual development to come about, our relationship with our spiritual mentor is crucial, it's paramount. So therefore, we are dedicating here, may we be inseparable from our Lama, may we never be separated. So, and why? So that we can continue to receive teachings and spiritual guidance, so that we can develop as quickly as possible and be of ever greater benefit to others.
Di kewa dida, nga sanju ko mato ji bardo kewa digi dadi kewa sashi ki nyuba digi nga solya Lama Chöpa da Lama zene chushu ya ko praya an chigi du sene nyuba de le tu gore. Da dene ge dai ko karsene samlo ki phemba de gar ta was semjen ka sanju ko mato ji bardo la ro da sanju ko top sane digi sashi sanju ko mato ji bardo da dene sing yo war shos malam jawaza phemba di ta wa zan phembi di topki an sanju di kewe zawa di nubadi du china sanju ko mato ye pa dong so Lama Chöpa da Lama zin chushu ye ko khapsha ye nubadi sha go re jire da simjen servant mala che dang du ding ge wa so ba de ge wa chima nga de ge we shin ya go che che ane ndi zan de chushu ko bra wa sho so de molam che ba na ge wa chima zam sam da ne di phan jo sam da ma na ning ge wa nubadi ge wa chima ya ane Lama Chöpa ko bra chushu ne di ba de nu zo so di panchi me bare. Sesa dini inza, ane tsarimni tsara pardo sidi, sanye mato ki pardo sin, du sam tanshi ngwa kya bayana, gewa di, nga sanye kopa mato ki pardo kewi nyuba di, du sin laigo nyuba di ki pandu go rajire.
In this and other dedications, we dedicate until enlightenment is achieved. So why do we dedicate to the attainment of that goal as opposed to something that is going to be achieved so much more quickly? By dedicating it until the attainment of the greatest goal, that of full and complete enlightenment, the potency or the strength of the virtue that we are dedicating will remain active and influencing until that goal is achieved. So when we dedicate that may I never be separated from my spiritual mentor until I achieve enlightenment for the sake of others, that potency, that strength of the vitality of the virtue that we are dedicating remains. This karmic strength, these karmic seeds that we are dedicating, they will continue to have a vitality, strength and influence on our relationship with our Lama until we achieve enlightenment, ensuring that we continue to meet life after life until enlightenment is achieved. Thereafter, we will, as a fully enlightened Buddha, we will be able to enact the deeds of the Buddhas and be of great benefit to others. But until then, we require the potency, the vitality of the virtue that we are dedicating here. So it's for this reason that we dedicate to the attainment of the great goal of enlightenment rather than just an immediate goal. Because if we were, for example, to dedicate, may I never be separated from my Lama throughout this life and ensure that I come under his care in my very next life, then in our very next life, when we come under the care of our Lama, the potency or the vitality of that karmic virtue is exhausted because the goal has been achieved. So rather, we dedicate this virtue to the attainment of the great goal.
Di samlo de sanyo shogo bar shoge ane shogo wala che luze se alia nushu ti tangor ma da sanyi san di ni mechema de nushu shira li thu marwa ya samji na lia ni dao ji ring li ya di dao tsebe jing di ri tsebe jing da di tsebe jing zo dao ji go ring li yang ge di na sho di tsebe ben chu jang wa su wa ge di na ya la che luze mu ti ni ze yin da san be ge samlo pemba de ni ge samlo pemba shu chi ma da ba na Di Genjine, Negidi Nayala, Dawaji, Luziada. And Dinashi, some Odang logic did di chicken, some big some pembe nishu tavana, Digi Shukin in the logical gasm, Tibado, and a chick cherry, Di Yungu Batanazum, chicken saving as a how to go. Just not the nigger somewhat on the Kuno Digi, Sani, some chicken, some big Kuno Tavana, Sani Bartuche, Deep Hashola Cheramete. In Dawaji really chicken, some basement, Kuno Pemba Shuchimatavana, Digi Shukin and Dawaji really Chasachi to go. Young logically jigging some some of pinch Shukim Batashabana, Digi Shukin, logic really to Chedigadi, Pembi, some look Pembi, Nushudi, did Divado chicken some time, Divado Dangu Bading and together, the thing as Rapara passing as the Sago to a child Chagorua, or Dinashin that be Dinashin Chibachagor.
To use an illustration to show the importance of dedication and doing so with sincerity. If we have perhaps we make a New Year's resolution that this year I'm going to turn over a new leaf and I'm going to exercise every day. Well, we know what tends to happen. We start off with good intentions and very quickly that's forgotten. But if we've thought well about the benefits of exercise, and we have looked at our life and our busy schedule, and we see, well, the best time that I can commit to doing this is in the early morning, and I really want to achieve this goal. I will get up early tomorrow and prove to myself I can do it. The next morning we wake up, and because of the strength of our determination, we'll wake up with ease, and immediately the thought will arise. I've got up at this early time because I'm going to exercise. I'm going to show myself I can do it. And we awake and we will do it. And seeing that success, we then say, in fact, I'm going to do it for the entire month. Today is the first and I will do it for the whole 30 days. I'm determined because I'm going to transform my life. And I have thought well about the benefits as well about the faults of not doing so. I'm going to bring about a change. And the next morning, we'll wake up, and we'll exercise, we will rejoice that we have now done it twice, and again we remind ourselves of the benefits of continuing, the faults of not doing so, and through repeating this process, every day we wake up. And we've seen then, the end of the month, how well we've done. And now we say for the rest of the year, I'm going to continue. And every day we continue this process of thinking about the benefits, thinking about the faults, then strengthening our determination. When we wake up, making the most of that opportunity. So this, whether it's exercise or something else, we have experience of. And we know that the key component here is not having a mere aspiration, but that we have a determination, a deep, heartfelt determination. And that isn't just a one-off, a flash in the pan, but rather we keep feeding it. We keep giving energy and strength to this mind, this motivation. And this way, we can bring about a transformation.
상당한 저기 안디네게 디멤비가 다시 ल्या가 가려이네 당한 저기 개발사는 지금 매니지 사회나 어당에 다워지를 자사면이 장거리에 사긴 셈be 섬다나 다워지리시래 로진 아니 게디나 미즈고롱이 님질려 매니 장거리에 사긴 셈be 섬로 제외나 디그디나 사도야 책으로 디양한도 군로들이야 같이 군로디 뉴슈체로 지외네 디지기 아니 언제 디제알이야 아니 지금 판도 채용 거다. 군로는 아직 사긴데 비지라 뉴스 침바데 지기나 셈베 여바지리아 뉴스 셔다면은 나디 기엔지네 제라 바 어디 제투네 아버 제마도 아디 가요 말씀베 차게 냥아 차기로 이제 군로들이야가 되니게 삼다에 군로들이야까지 즉 금체 삼다 제와 주스진 삼든 금체 통하지 뉴버까지 시 숙체 삼편바데까지 숙체 땅베네 안 디기 판도 채지 뉴버드 말 교투요 바디야서 대대용요 서로.
If, for example, one has the determination that I'm going to accumulate a certain number of money mantras every day, perhaps during this period of the 15 days where we're gathering as a community every afternoon, or perhaps for longer, a month or even a year, you make the determination every day. I'm going to meditate on bodhicitta and emptiness and recite mani mantras whilst doing so. If one just has a mere aspiration from perhaps hearing a teaching and it's having some inspiration, that is unlikely to be sustained. But if one has heard many reasons and then reflected on those reasons why this is such an important thing to do, one's motivation will be more sincere, more transformative. And if one doesn't leave it at that one reflection, but every day regenerates one's motivation by reflecting on the reasons why this is important to do, as one's motivation becomes ever more intense, more forceful, then the likelihood of one engaging in the virtuous practice grows, and not only that, but the quality of that virtuous practice, due to the sincerity and the forcefulness or the intensity of the motivation, the quality of the virtue accumulated, this too is transformed. So here we see how imperative it is to use reasoning as well as repetition of that analysis.
추세기 띠를 가야지 열어봐. 나한테 가야 매매 갑자기 내게 간주게 산유 요게 되니치링한 뭐 되는 랑긴다 선배에 삼로식 늪 송공다 녀디 갑리야 안지 펜바스나지 산이 되니치링아 추지 되니치 야랑고 랑긴 선배에 지 펜바스나지 녀샤베나 네파라데 니 쿠고르데 아니 되니 산유 요게 추지 가제라데 디니엘라 추지디 마슨 빠데 니세다 양 따다 니세 되어 중고로 디가르스는 펜베디기 돕기 지게 매니엘이야 군노 펜바다와다 삼르디 디 뉴슈의 견제네 아니 베니 에듀스텔이야 니세 영화 책으로 근데네 매와지 않고 산이 되니 랑인서 삼마카 매와지 다 기운이 쿠어서 니데베네 되네고 안 디실이야 코라 니 세다 진 지구차원나 이마세바드네 용도와 근데 인간적이 락바락바디서 삼르기 두스타베네 삼미기 슈긴기 디기 두스치네 용구여바 락바로 진아도 하고 두고도야.
These days, everyone in their home has several alarms. So to get up early, everyone can do it because you can set several machines so that they make a lot of noise in your room. But in earlier times, these weren't around. One relied on oneself to wake up in the morning. So then, one would need to set a motivation. And in dependence on the strength of the motivation, one would have certainty that next morning one would wake up early and engage in what one had set out to engage in. But even these days with alarms, we benefit greatly from setting a clear motivation, because whilst one may set an alarm for early in the morning, that does not guarantee one goes to bed at an appropriate hour the night before. If one's motivation is not clear, one may well get engaged in activities the evening before, and then suddenly one's going to bed very late, and then one has a reason to change the time on one's alarm. But if one has clearly seen the benefit of, for example, getting up early so that one can engage in some meditation, it will be very easy at night to say, oh, it's late enough now, I'm putting aside the activities because I want to. I want to get up early in the morning. I want to meditate in the morning. I understand the benefits. And these are the benefits, and one reminds oneself of the benefits. And these are the faults of not doing so. And then it's easy. Light goes out, and with a happy mind, one lays down, looking forward to waking up early and meditating.
Digi Mamba Terapkundo San Yoko Bamba to Bado, Gyo Shores, the Malam Javaina, the Negi Shukingi, Simgi, Nuba, Digi Chikawadi, Dushin Yunguyabadi, Dasan Rush, the Chagorova, the names that the Malam Javade, that Chig Moajada, Malam Jade, Yechimushu in Sungordan.
So from these illustrations that we can relate to from our life, how by setting a clear motivation with a strength of mind, our behavior is impacted. Likewise, when we dedicate merit, not just with a mere recitation of words, but with heartfelt intensity, this too will have an impact on our way, on the way our karma impacts on us, not just overnight, but throughout our lives, until enlightenment is achieved.
Zayu kombe topki chundige de da kuda kusena tu sena mo yemege ada kudi chade garago sonju ku gyen tamche dar bampe ko sonju kudi ko banyu zu sho se sonju dorje chang mo ba yu do sho se sonju ku se ro da sonju dorje chang ku se de su sonju ku sonju se de ngaze kisin chik che ma da sonju se de ku da ba gyume ku da an tu da bi dong ba yi do bi xie ni mo ye bi ge an ku da de la de ku de la sonju ku la go re sonju sen song la de ni la go ro juk la ni ga nyom do yo ba si go ro mo ye nyom do yo de gen Kudila sonju kula gore.
In the final line of the dedication verse, we have the unified state of Vajradhara. So this, as we spoke about last week, the term unified refers to two, so a union of two things, one being the illusory body, and the second being the wisdom realizing emptiness. So we have the union of body and mind, and not just any ordinary body, but the illusory body, and the consciousness or the mind that it is in union with is the wisdom realizing emptiness. So these two, body and mind, are indivisible, or in unity. And this then specifically refers to the illusory body, the wisdom realizing emptiness of Buddhahood.
Lobe sonju da mi lobe sonju loba la na pape sangye ma yin ba che da pape ga sa yin ba sangye ma yin ba lobe sonju ku sa de mi lobe sonju ku ne ta sang yu ko ba top checking ku de sonju ku de mi lobe sonju ku da de jing ha ge ma da be sonju ku la de dong ba ni lan jing ha sem cha sho de ge dong ba ni do ne ngosum no ma to ba de tongpa yin denji su yu to tongpa yin denji su yu to ngosum no ma to ba che denji su yu denji da de yu khon to be ge to ba chi yo ba che sa de ni ge sem cha shu de ge lan ji ge sem cha shu de tongpa yin to be ge to ba chi yo ba din to ba de le nyam bar sha ne nyam cha de le su lang che de na de ka la di gi lo te da ngo chi be sem di lung chi yo ba di su gu chu go re che sa di su gu da 동방이 또 물론이 보디 뭐 예매래 꾸디래 대라네 가소래 마다비 규묘고 올라고래 마다비 규묘고 올라고래 그래서는 녀모바 찾아 봐요 말 마다 발은 녀모바 마방비 규묘고 올라고래 될 규묘고 시고래
Last week we spoke about the different types of illusory bodies. So there's the pure and the impure illusory body. The pure illusory body, that itself has two divisions. That of, maybe we can translate it as the pure illusory body of the training grounds and the pure illusory body of the non-training grounds. Which means the being who achieves a pure illusory body of the training grounds, they are on the grounds of training. They haven't reached the ground of normal training, in other words, Buddhahood. So the pure illusory body of the training grounds refers to an Arya Bodhisattva. And the pure illusory body of the non-training grounds refers to the illusory body of a Arya Buddha, or of a Buddha, a being who has trained the fifth path, the path of no more training. So the impure illusory body, this is attained by a yogin who inferentially realizes emptiness. So in other words, emptiness isn't directly realized, but is realized via or by means of a meaning generality. So the wisdom that is inferentially realizing emptiness is a wisdom of the subtlest mind. It's not a coarser consciousness that is inferentially realizing emptiness, but it is the very subtle mind that goes from lifetime to lifetime. That subtle mind is being used to realize emptiness, and in this case, inferentially. That subtle mind, accompanied by wind energy, is what arises as the impure illusory body. And it's called the impure illusory body because the wisdom that is realizing emptiness is not doing so directly, but inferentially, which means the afflictions and their seeds have not yet been abandoned. So again, when the yogin is able to inferentially realize emptiness with the subtlest of minds, that subtlest of minds then is accompanied with a wind energy, which arises, these two in union, as the impure illusory body.
동바 ngosum to dinde 동바 ngosum de dinde nyambar sha ne nyamsha dele sulu dang yong de kabla ta di ge 동바 ngosum to bi ge sem de da ngo yemi lungdi dal kuchi tu gore yulu chi tu gore di ni da ngo ku de da lo ni bo de 동바 ni to lo ni bo ngo yeme cha de la da bi ma da bi ka sa ma da bi kyume ko ka sa da bi kyume ko da bi lo bi sung ju se ora lo bi kyume ko lo ba ka sen ko 자좀바 가서 산요고 바토요 말 파베 가자리 파베가 진리 될야 너 로비기 규묘고 로비 소축 자자고
The yoga now, having attained the impure illusory body, will continue making great efforts on meditating on emptiness. And they'll continue to realize emptiness with a subtle mind. And they'll continue to realize emptiness via meaning generality. And as they develop this realization of emptiness, eventually the yogin will attain a direct realization of emptiness, no longer via a meaning generality. No longer will emptiness be realized via a meaning generality, but the subtle mind will realize emptiness directly. This subtle mind is accompanied by, or is indivisible with a wind energy. And now, the illusory body that arises is a pure illusory body, because now emptiness has been directly realized, so the afflictions together with their seeds are being eradicated. So the pure illusory body has been achieved, whereas previously it was the impure illusory body, because the subtle consciousness is realizing emptiness via meaning generality. The difference here is, through great effort and familiarity, emptiness is now directly realized, and the pure illusory body is attained. And of the two types of pure illusory body, it's the one that is of the training grounds, the pure illusory body of the training grounds, because the Arya Bodhisattva is still training. They haven't achieved the fifth path of no more training. So in this way, now the pure illusory body is achieved.
And the Niki Sim Tasho Digi, that Sim Tamo Digi, Tongbanyo Dwane, I come that Tiba, Shirip Chasam Pangodi, then Sanjoba Totugorwa. Chesna, the Niki told me that, the Niki Tongbanyo Topic, Lo, Nyo Tiba Tamje Pandi, Tongbanyo Topic, Lodi, Dane, De, and Kasore, Delia, Deda, Di, Sem Deda Mo Chibiki, Lungtiki, Mo Sukusha, Di Sem da Lung Kunibo the Mo image, Kudeleda, the Sonchu Kure, and Delia, and Chicken Topic, Mikusor, Takasore, Milube Sonchuk, Milube Sonchuta, as a Miluban, Milube Sonch, that judgment San Yoko, Topsawa, the Dele, Milube Sonchukusor, Miluba. The low Miluba and that, then I love John Cheva Toby, Chictoya, and I love John Cheva Mevarwa, the Milube Sonchukusor.
The yogin now, as an Arya Bodhisattva, will continue to meditate with the subtle mind, continue to realize emptiness directly. This way they will eradicate first the obscurations to liberation, and thereafter the obscurations to omniscience. And when even these have been completely eradicated, then their wisdom, the subtle mind, which is realizing emptiness directly, together with its the wind energy of which it is indivisible, arises again as the pure illusory body of the union of non-training grounds. So previously, when emptiness was directly realized, the yogin arose as within the pure illusory body of the union of the training grounds. Now, when Buddhahood itself is achieved, they arise as the pure illusory body of the union of the non-training grounds.
Sonju Dorje Changwa, then Sonju, the Dorje Changyo Kopa said, then the Milubico Sonju Gudela, Dorje Changyo Kopa, the Dorje Changs, Chango Kopa said, that the Nigi, that Sonju Dorje Changyo Kopa Tobi Churumo said that Sonju said, Sonju Gudida, Sanyi Milubi Sonju Teleco for it.
That then is the meaning of the unified state of Vajradhara, the attainment through this sequence of spiritual development, where the yogin achieves Buddhahood, state of Vajradhara, arising as the pure illusory body of the union of non-training grounds.
And that in Yana Dunikone, that Jebat Sosa Jedi, that in the Sasare, that Yana, that didn't man to get that Tisha, that there on to get Lamalia, Mcsummer, and the Jikti Lama Chöpa, so take of Mcsummer, Lamalia, so Lami, Kuson, Tosum, Indian Jela, and the Lamalia, Mcsummer Tanja, so Tayachi. The Mcsummer Delea, and Jik, Shikora Sada, Ngakora Sada, the Nigi. Manguya and that dig of Shed, the Lamicasa, Lamichu Cosu, Mcsummer Diade, Kukors, Mcsummer, Korkuyor, Kukors at the Tango, Kukor.
That then completes the 7-limb prayer. And now I want to talk a little bit about the recitation of Mcsema. So the Mcsummer Prayer, this has differing versions. There's a 4-line version, a 5-line version, and the one that is generally found in the Lama Chöpa is a 9-line version. So I don't think it's in this book, but it's in what we do generally recite, the 9-line version.
Lama Sangela Kosum Gubio Soa, the Ranchimijo Droa Jinolo, Chopa Tumongo of Zalo Solo said, did it down to Lama Chöpa, so critically doing Duadi, Chodan did it, Mr. Mukubo said.
What we do in our dedication is the abbreviated version. The full 9-line version is what we recite in the when we actually do the Lama Chöpa Puja. So in English it is Vajradhara, Lord of Sages, sources of all realizations. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-objectifying compassion. Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras. Lobsang Dorje, crown jewel of sages of the land of snow. To you, Guru Buddha, embodying the 3 refuges. I make requests, showing respect with my 3 doors. Please grant your blessings to liberate myself and others. Please bestow the supreme and common realizations.
So it's at page 102 in the FEMT blue prayer book. So should we get copies? Shall I hand out the copies?
Do you? Thank you.
Page 102, I think.
I did Mcsummer Prayer did it. That did it. That then and each jail that the Dukala Nudo Kerada was in Europe said to do at 62 and Nudo Keran. The Mcsummer Nangi Mare. Godela Choda Tumongo, Zalo sauce, Dibardoma, the mother. Nudo Kerada was in Europe said, never can the Chucha. Nudo Kerada, they do not digor the inner the good Mcsummer Kugur Nalema. Nudo Kerada was in Europe, Madame by Nea Kavakaya Mare.
In what you have in your book, if I'm not mistaken, the very last line, you'll have in brackets, please bless me to become quickly like you. So the reason that is in brackets is because it's not part of the 9-line Mcsema. So it's fine to recite, but when you hear that Mcsema has, the long version is 9 lines, that is correct. There is this additional line that can be recited, but it is an add-on. It is not from any of the versions of Mcsema. So again, to recite it is fine, it's no fault at all, but just so you know, it's an addition to the Mcsema, it's not a part of it.
The new Canada by the Europe said, Dandy war of Chagore, Carson that Mcsummer Kukur Sagriwa, Satsa Chelia, the Nigger Sabiki, Sunam Dilla, Dene, and the Karanga Lama Chöpa, Kusum Tusun, and then Dina Shinji, Nalaya, Denis Yende Chumadi, and Lama Chöpa, Laproche, Saja, Tush. And the Nigger Sabiki, the Nigger Lama Jilling Jingy Lapcha, Lamiki, and Kusun, and then Dina Chingarangula Yoaki, and Lame Jingy Laproche, Saja, Yashugore.
This 10th line, the bracketed line, this is you could say a summary or summarizes the essence of the 9-line Mcsema. So in brief, one is supplicating one's Lama to bless, or rather, a better translation, to inspire one to quickly become just like you.
Delia, the sick number of teaching language, children wasn't true to masters, the usual calendar, watching you love Sada, Tesam Combe, Shera Pesos, Chesson, Luri Cases, Choda, Timon results, and usual calendar, watching you love some Lucian, Monam Jagore, the Pechitina Leoma Shandana Liore. Just not sick to end the new Canada, watching you love said, Mcsummer Prayer, and new Canada, watching you love said, Yoruba, Jeza, teaching language, Charles. Muslim Trimmer to Marcellus or New Canada, Choda to Mongol, Zealous, or New Canada, watching you love. Tesam Gombe, Shera Pesos, Chesson, Luri Cases, Choda to Mongol, Zealous, or New Canada, watching you love. All those in the Manam Jay, that sick Yavas and deny that Duchan, deny sick Duchan, the New Canada, watching you love.
This insert, this additional line, this insert, is actually from another series of verses. So again, I recited them all. Of course, I don't know what these are. And this is from another set of verses, and this one line has been taken across and then is added as an addition. So that maybe you could say is the lineage of where this additional line comes from.
Chiki do shene dade lamigi dine molam jab then de jes dajel ma dayaji lamigi kusung tusu yenden tembe tone ya an lama ya so dip shuye dire dade me dade disada jemane sain chik jeman ma shuye di da lama ya lami kusung tu yenden tembe tone ya lama ya so dip shuye chagore so what de
When we continue next week looking at the Lama Chöpa, we come to the next division, which you can see on page 8, with praises and requests, in particular the expression of the various qualities of the Lama. So it involves one reminding oneself of one's Lama's qualities of body, speech and mind, and thereby generating a great faith and making expression of requests.
Dine inzadang jugilia zo da jik de xingwa jia de lama serakunda lama jisu simbar sho sa de ngwa jia de jisang de lamin na ju dus kumgu sa lama da sang yi idam zo lama le so de du xine nyamlen ji go ba lamin na ju kom de kabla nga zo lama idam sang yi ngo ye me chin zo lama le so de go ba jisang lama de yi geji ane nyanga le mi do so de ba sa de lama le ya nyanga 기준의 주로시 소화돼 봐라. 안데 ngoaje야 처럼네 처라데 라마치스 짐벌 쇼스는 ngoaje고라. 제가 디니자 디가 송한 지게 라미게 연대 삼데 라마 띠나 소소리 판도 여봐. 라마 맞은 바나 소소리야. 아니 지게 가르가르 용 라마 띠바인데 판도 가르가르여서 라미 연대 전시베 토네 아니 개판 유비 삼다지 루시는 가지고 라마야 소화돼 고르해지리다.
Thus far in the practice, we've been reflecting really from the outset of seeing our Lama, Yidam and the Buddha as being indivisible. And as we've gone through the practice, we've come to the point where we've made heartfelt requests never to be separated from our Lamas. And preceding this, for example, to continue to receive teachings perfectly in accordance with our spiritual level. So here we've progressed thus far. And now in the new section, we remind ourselves of the tremendous benefits of relying on this remarkable being, our spiritual mentor. And we do so through reminding ourselves of his incomparable qualities.
gombe tone ani chi thobna ma de shen thoya thablang ga me bare jada samlo tone nyamlen jo gom jayala ya an delya an chi manowa che chi machuba manowa an chi yahoji ma tinghen chi labkhan chi gor wa da ye chim bu chagor wa den lama ye chim bu ba dirwa jada lami gi du chin na wala de ne nga ju gi 지게 점점 건조 숨샤다 하고야다 남 냠리 림바디게 되는 지역으로서 하고야다 안델라진의 소속이 계셔 줘야 돼 라말레드의 연구가 제가 라마디 계시 모시고 지다는 아주 라마 내가 낭비 추슈의 마셔베네 아주 롭좀 가르쳐베네 랍겐 예인데랄 빼 계시면 쉬우시로 와다 로 이길 랍겐지나 랍겐 예인데 약고시고 그래 내가 저기 잘라 소연지네 랍겐 예인지 약고 그래 되는 랍겐 예인지 말아봐이나 아주 롭좀 자기 말이야 다 랍겐 예인데 라고 그래 랍겐 예인데 라와들래 아니 지 님이 지니 라와 잠기 아주 롭좀 약고 차도 말 무퇴시 아니 랍겐 예인지 아주 랍겐 주여봐 임바지데 나 게인데 무퇴는 여봐 직제 나서이네 게인이 무퇴나 핑계바 나서 디자인 무퇴는 장고를 마 무퇴는 맞잖아 판도메르와 세상 나서이네 무퇴는 디자인 장바이네 이게 나다 아니 지 시행 가르치면에 지 나서 가리네 랍간지 약고 주여봐 디기 무퇴는 랍 나서이네 디데 무퇴는 장바이나 나서기 지딘 디게는 지 시행 롭조디 나서 레리고로 와 어디 나신 당하고 셈비 교회 토네 고함냠는 제대야 랍칸 야고 겐지 고고래 디 안디야 무디셰 겐지 고고래 디게 여바자 말 소소이네 무디셰 라마 디자인에 장고고래 세상 두신 잡에나 맞아 셈교와데 고함냠는데 야야 조치네 안 지게 맞아 미 탈바다 탐지 비고 바데 쭉 투고로 디엔자다 라마디 계시물에 세데 김센디로 와다
that we have achieved a precious human rebirth, a life where not only are we born as humans, but where we have met a Mahayana spiritual friend and had interest in hearing teachings. And not only that, but we've have the aspiration to integrate them within ourselves. That this has come about in dependence on the causes we ourselves accumulated in past lives, including making prayers for this to happen. In dependence on that full collection of causes, we have attained this rebirth and this opportunity. So recognizing that, the desire will come to ensure that we accumulate similar causes again. And combining this with our understanding earlier, or what I mentioned earlier, that the attainment of liberation from suffering, or enlightenment, Buddhahood itself, either state in its essence has the same meaning. We need to transform our way of thinking, radically transform our mind. And to be able to do so, to break long-held faulty ways of perceiving the world, this requires a radical method, a method that we are not yet familiar with, hence our mistaken views. And to be able to completely, radically transform our way of thinking, we require the unmistaken technique, because it is independence on that we will be able to progress in a faultless manner. And progressing faultlessly is the surest, the quickest way to transform our mind. And to be able to transform deep-seated, mistaken views, mistaken ways of perceiving the world, we require a skilled teacher, a teacher whose own mind has been transformed. This is crucial. So we need to reflect on what has been said here, because these are the reasons that when integrated within us, we will recognize the preciousness of our opportunity and how crucial it is to make full use of it. And it's that way that we live a meaningful life. In this way, too, we recognize the crucial role, the indispensable role a spiritual teacher plays in our spiritual development. And here, too, we can use the reasoning from what we observe in our life, what we observe in society, that whatever skill one wants to develop, merely having the wish is insufficient. One needs someone to train you in how to learn to read or to write or whatever the vast number of skills we all have. Someone showed us. A teacher is needed. And to become proficient, more than just to have a basic knowledge, one needs ongoing guidance, and guidance in accordance with our level, our ability as it grows and develops. A mere wish is insufficient. Even applying ourselves with effort is insufficient. We need skilled guidance, and from our side, We need to make effort. We need to apply ourselves, make the most of this opportunity that we have. This is how we have developed all the skills that we have. And so too, with our spiritual development, to transform our mind, our spiritual mentor, our Lama, is indispensable. We can conclude here then for this week. If you have some questions, please feel free to ask. Tsepo?
I have a question about the explanation Geshe was giving on verse 42. Just with that, that meditation, which would be daily yoga meditation. So when the practitioner has got that inferential realization of emptiness with the fundamental mind manifest, and then in that meditation, they're realizing emptiness directly. Then when they realize emptiness directly, are those two groups of obscurations removed together in that meditation, and then they arise in the impure illusory body? Then they arise in they're doing that meditation with the impure illusory body, right? And so then they're arising in the pure illusory body of the training stage. Is that one moment? Or one meditation? One meditation.
So is it in that one meditation where they move from an inferential realization of emptiness with the impure illusory body and attain a direct realization of emptiness and attain the pure illusory body? In that meditation, do they also eliminate the obscurations to liberation and obscurations to omniscience?
Two obscurations. Yes, so
yes.
Are they...
Yes. So really, in that one meditation, they would achieve the pure illusory body of the training grounds, and they would eradicate the afflicted obscurations to liberation, as well as, thirdly, the obscurations to omniscience.
Well, not actually the obscurations of omniscience, because they're actually I think they're getting up to that very last final stage before Buddhahood. Are all of those being removed at that time?
So not as far as all the obscurations to liberation, but they're really getting up to on the brink.
The last moment of the training.
Okay.
Is that as a question?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Nyamja chisinadada 주교 동반이 셈 참어디게 동반이 던지추기 또 봐세 지로다 대 동반이 또네 디 동반이라 냠바샤베 냠바샤제 냠샤샤 냠샤디를 수 제도로 향도 제도로 수 당용도 되는 규모고도 주보래 디 마다베 규모고 년대 빠요 말에 년대 마바래 다야자 마다비 규미고 주고래 나데 나데 양자 냠바 샤고로 받아 양자 마다비 규미고디 양 그런 취시에 제거해다 주와신다 개와 최고 부여다 진 개와 싸고 먹고 싸야 저봐 마다비 규미고디 토네 개와 싸야 먹고 싸 디사서에 제래 양자 다 동번이라 냠바 샤고로 봐 냠바 샤네 냠바 샤 강섬질이야 동번이 오숨도 도고로 봐 다 동반 용어숨 또 찾네다 냠바 동반 용어숨 또 배서는 냠바 샤제 다 냠자 딜레수 당용도 안에 꾸디 답이 규미고 저 로비 규미고 차고래 대 답아서 연립 방사하대 연립 방사와 답아서 가르 답아서는 답발라네 빵발라고 가르 빵바서 연립 빵발에 해서래 나 가르 빵을 하되 시립 빵을 하되래 다 동반 용어숨은 또 살 꾸디 안에 규미고 톱사레 답이 규미고 톱사레 이내야 시립방요 말다 시립방에 신이 시립방요 고주야리다 다 시립방요 안다데 아데
So again, it's not finished, but I want to remember. So first, the yogin will attain with the consciousness that is this fundamental mind, the subtlest of minds. They will attain an inferential realization of emptiness. When they arise from that meditation, they will arise then in the impure illusory body. So it's not attained, the impure illusory body is not attained in the meditation, but they arise after the meditation in the impure illusory body. Then that impure illusory body will engage in a variety of activities accumulating virtue, for example, teaching the Dharma and so forth. And eventually, as the yogin continues to meditate, eventually they'll enter the meditative equipoise where emptiness is directly realized. In that meditation, the obscurations to liberation are abandoned, and then they are, as that meditation then concludes, they will then arise now in the pure illusory body of the union of the training grounds. So now they have arisen in the pure illusory body, and in that just ended meditation session, they not only realized emptiness directly, but they abandoned the afflicted obscurations.
나 저기 다 동반 영어숨다 저 답이 규명고 연립 방차로 다 양제고 양제고 동반이래 그 다디 답이 규명고 톱서 양지 전에 최셰제 당 최부회의 선임이 조바도면 바사 사제 양 동반이래 양 냠바샤고로 양 동반이 냠바샤네 되는 냠바샤네 시리 방요도 된 답이 아니 그래서 밀르비 송축세대 산지고 봐 도도 거래지라
Di siapa kosong ini di Illusory ini di Madek Pekulu ini
Tapi Kumuko
ini yang sangat ini di batu tujuh mampu
deh deh mang di sosok ini juga papeke di mang ringdo ya deh ke kau mampu ceringgu deh ya mana.
Now, having arisen as with the pure illusory body of the training grounds, the yogin will engage in a variety of virtuous activities, teaching the Dharma and so forth, accumulating merit, benefiting beings, and they will re-enter meditation, and eventually a re-entered meditative equipoise they will, in that point, abandon completely the obscurations to omniscience, and Buddhahood will be attained. So then I ask Genla, if we divide it into three stages of the attainment of the impure illusory body with the inferential realization of emptiness, and then the attainment of the direct realization of emptiness in the pure illusory body, and then the eventual attainment of enlightenment. If we say three stages, what time period are we talking about in between? Is it short, medium, long? And he said it really will differ depending on the particular yogin, but it will not be, this total period is not long, but there is variety in that length. It's not lifetimes.
Papa Mare, Sosokibore Mare, that in Anzuki, Mada Bigumu Togan Dua, 마다비 규묘구 토용도 대 파파차요 말에 파파 말에 소수기 보래 다 동반이 원숨도 돈에 다비 규묘구 토공도 디데 파파차 말에 통람방안에서네 너겁시네 파파차 말에 파파래 세상 나이가서 파파차 받은 자점바차바 집바 뒤지기를 토보래 당아도 너겁시반 당보 파파차 통람톱 되네 겁나고 된 자주메고 토보로와 이 말은 나이가서 파파 고방 토바다 자주메고 토바 뒤냐바 집바래 자주메 되고 토바나 파베 고방 토바 뒤냐바래 뒤지기를 토보래 대등아도 너희값을 제반은 당보 파파 토고로와 당보 통람 토고로와 통람 토비도 파파 차바로와 팔람 차네 되네 진여 겁나와 진이 자준비 좀 토고로와 녀모 빵고로와 파파 차에도 녀모 빵교마 너희값이 돼 대등아 값을 시에도 다비구 규메구 토비도 간사데 파파 차바래 파베 간사 당보래 파베 간사 차바래 지나 파베 간사 차에도 자주모 톱사래 자주모 녀모 받치 삼방 파베 간사 차에도 녀모 빵사래다 So
there's quite a difference here in speed or progression between the sutra and tantric path. So for example, on the sutra path, when first, of course, there's still the same distinction, the first one, but with both sutra and tantra, first there's an inferential realization of emptiness, and thereafter there's a direct realization of emptiness, and when emptiness is directly realized, one becomes an Arya. So there the sutra and the tantra paths are the same. But on the sutra path, when the yogin has realized emptiness directly and become an Arya, they have not abandoned the obscurations to liberation. That still has to be done. So in other words, they are not a foe destroyer. There's still this period of training required between when they become an Arya being through the direct realization of emptiness and when they abandon the obscurations to liberation and they become a foe destroyer. Because a foe destroyer has destroyed the foe, which is the afflictions, and that only happens not when emptiness is directly realized, but much later when the afflictions together with their seeds have been eliminated. So in the sutra path, there's a period of time between the initial direct realization of emptiness and when the afflictive obscurations are abandoned and the state of and one is a foe destroyer. On the sutra, that's on the sutra path. On the tantric path, when emptiness is realized directly, the yogin is an Arya being. So that point alone is the same as the sutra path. Where the tantric path is uniquely different is with the direct realization of emptiness, all the afflicted obscurations are abandoned and one becomes a foe destroyer in that same meditation session. So that shows just how much more quickly the tantric path is. Was when emptiness is realized, the state of a foe destroyer is achieved in that same meditation.
In verse 42, we did the dedication of merit. Is there a short definition of merit?
Can I just say what is meant by merit?
Yeah, what is it? Just a short definition.
개화세대 킹한주 대시 초신사 답 개화라는 다 개회 칭이세는 상이기 되는신의 개화래 상이기 마 룽도 땜바체 니기 대보 마오바네 대화 중요하게 대화마도 대화 중요하게 되니기 찍을 취직을다 개화세 그래 디지 말 상이기 개화래 세죠 디지네 개화래 상이기 마 송와체 디기 안 송와 간시라 디 대부 마오바나네 대화 중요하게 규дел라다 되니기 규델라 개화세 그래
There isn't a definition, but if you want to understand it in something that sounds like a definition, you could say it's the causes that will lead to happiness. But it's not any cause or all causes that lead to happiness. Buddha himself said that is a cause, that cause is virtue, or that activity leads to virtue, is virtuous because that cause will lead to happiness. So if you want it in as a definition, it is the causes that lead to happiness. Or to rather express it like this, the causes that the Buddha identified as leading to happiness, so not all causes. Okay? Good. Then thank you very much.